What's going on, peeps? It's Timmy Joe, and yeah, it's clickbait, you know, trying to get the clicks, but it doesn't mean it's not true. I think Alienware is some of the worst computers ever. It's it's so loud, it's so hot, over-engineered, but for the wrong reasons, really expensive crap that Alienware tries to pass off as like some high-end computer, when in the long run, you know, it's still doing the same bullshit today that plagues this machine that came out in 2009. Yes, it just shut itself off because it got too hot. All right, that was perfect timing. Cue up an intro. I'm gonna show you why Alienware, some of the worst computers out there. All right, she's back on. Yep. All right, so we'll preface this by saying that the graphics card in this computer is mostly the problem. It's an AMD R9 290X, and I think that might be one of my most hated graphics cards of all times. Shut up. General Radeon Wattman settings have been restored due to unexpected system failure. I've gone on record saying maybe my most hated graphics card is R9 290X, R9 390X, but second to that is anything that's ever been in a Dell Alienware, or any like, you know, blower style, like shitty graphics card that is in an Alienware that you look at it, you're like, yeah, this has been in an Alienware. I bought a 2080 Ti that was shutting itself off, and it was all due to the poor design of the cooler and it being in one of these aluminum coffins. It's supposed to be easy. Sorry. Where's the air coming from? There's no, this front part, press the alien's head, this thing comes down, doesn't expose a fan or anything. There is a fan in here, it's getting like absolutely no air from some little vent in the bottom here. They designed all this stuff, but they have the loudest, craziest 3,000 RPM fans in these things too. Seriously. Every time you turn it on, it makes this sound. Okay, so I'm getting way ahead of myself. It's quiet enough. I'm sorry if you can hear the computer beside me, but I'll tell you a little story. I always say you can, you know, in these really crappy, uncertain times, that you can get a good deal on a computer if you watch your local, you know, Craigslist's, Kijijis, your Facebook market groups like a hawk. Like, I look at them 5-6 times a day, and I still missed out on a really good deal, like with a quad core with hyper threading, motherboard, and case for like $250. It was like one of those new i3s that's, you know, 10th generation or whatever. I could have turned that around for $1,200 with a good graphics card or something like that, you know? So I missed out on that deal by like 15 minutes. I messaged the person, they're like, literally someone's picking it up right now. I was mad. So when this thing popped up for $350 the other day, Alienware Aurora R4 4930K, okay, liquid cooled, 850 watt power supply, 16 gigs of, I believe, quad channel RAM. There's at least 4 sticks in there. CD-ROMs, you know, and an R9 290X, and this is supposed to be a working system, and all I was missing was the hard drives. I was so excited. I was like, this is an awesome computer. If I put some hard drives in this and it's working, I could flip this thing for like, you know, $400 or something like that. Like, I could probably get $800 for something I got $400 into. Like, that's the market right now. And, you know, people really think these computers are good. So it's like, you look at the blue crap, it's got the lights and stuff. It'd be an easy sell, believe me. And I will eventually sell this computer because there's nothing wrong with most of it. But, what ended up happening was I was worried about this being a scam. $350 for this computer, what could be wrong with the climate right now and everything. I go and I meet the girl, and it's just like middle-aged, you know, older woman, not like, I don't know, she's probably my age anyways, living alone in an apartment. I did not think she had the wherewithal to be committing a scam, and even if, like, let's say something's wrong with the computer, which there is, you know, it's still worth $350 even if like the graphics card's gone, which of course that's where we're gonna end up getting. So I brought it back here, and initial thing, I was just boot it up, but I need some hard drive, so I installed Windows, and as soon as I installed Windows, things were acting real funky video-wise, and I was like, oh, fuck, it's an R9 290X, it's my most hated video card of all time. Of course it's dead. Because of course it is, and it's like the reference model too. So yeah, it's in here, and yeah, I hate it. So immediately I put my 1030 in it, and all the graphical glitches go away, so it's working great. I'm like, yeah, it's definitely the graphics card. Well, if it's messed up like that, it's like I tried to install a newer driver, it wasn't happening. Maybe I can do the heat gun trick. I've never been successful doing. I've fixed like 1 or 2 Fermi cards, and one lasted like 2 weeks or something like that, baking them. But I've never really done the heat gun thing except for once or twice, and it didn't work. This time I did it, and it worked. I heat gunned the crap. I got 150 degrees on the core, on like the graphics core. And, you know, I was real careful, I was real slow, and got it up to that temperature, let it cool down, put it back together, and it works. I'm so excited. It's never worked before. Heat gunned it, no more graphical glitches. And even to this point, there's no issues with the card even running a graphics workload. You saw it was just running a Firestrike stress test. No problem. Until it got too hot. So what's the problem then? Well, I've tried every solution under the sun. The card no longer, like the operating temperature of an R9 290 is about 90 degrees. It wants to be at 90 degrees, and it sets stupid blower fans like this to run at obscenely low RPMs because otherwise they sound like jet engines to maintain this 90 degrees. That's just terrible, and it's bad for everything on the card. And when this girl was using this card for a couple years and it got some dust in it, it just started baking itself to the point where I'm sure the computer was just shutting off, and maybe she was able to do some work on the desktop and stuff like that. She wasn't able to game, and she was fine with that for a while, but then it started doing the graphical glitches in Windows because the thing was getting messed up, so just decides to dump it off for $350, and I'm the one that receives it. So I thought I fixed it, get it all running back together, and it shuts itself off if you do anything for longer than like 10 minutes. If it gets up to 90 degrees, and then 91, and then 92, and then 91, you know, it'll shut itself off. So I take it apart again, and I put some of this stuff on it, and I'm trying to work out some way, like this is an Accelerow with 5 heat pipes. Maybe I can get that working in there. None of those things, they always shut off, and it's because you don't really have any contact with the memory. The PCB gets really hot on this thing. You feel it, oh my god, does it ever get hot? So you need like an Accelerow 3, but that thing's never gonna fit in there. This has some crazy heatsink on the back of the PCB to try and extract heat from it. Maybe this would work in another solution. In fact, I believe if you just took this out, it would work fine if it wasn't in this closed case. It's that this case is a coffin, an aluminum coffin. So like one last ditch effort, I'll take it back out, and I will put the washers behind the X spring on the original cooler. I did all that, and it seemed to be a little bit better, but then it shuts off. All right, so you can tell I'm a little jaded because I've spent a couple days on this, and it's just, you know, you keep thinking you're making an inch and you lose a mile. So obviously, huge problem, R9 290X. Should never have been sold with this cooler on it. I've had a million dead R9, like maybe 10 or 12 over my last 3 years or something like that, messing with computers. I'm losing my voice. That's how angry I am at this whole computer situation. I really wanted to do a video where I did a nice retrospective on the Alienware Aurora series and how back in the day I really thought, I remember speccing one out on the Dell website and just being like, this is such a cool computer, it's got lights and this and stuff like that. But when it's all said and done, I get this computer in here, and it's like I tried everything I could to save this graphics card, to save it in its original configuration, to do a little retrospective and show that even though this computer is like 7 years old, it can still game at 1080p no problem. R9, you know, a 90X can, you know, 4 gigabyte, you know, it can roll with an RX 470, you know, 4 gigabyte. You know, it's still half decent for today's performance. And the fact that I would have got the whole package for $350, and then I could have turned around and showed you I made a profit, you know, a couple $400 maybe, that would have been awesome. But in the end, this thing let me down. I'm gonna have to go like $350 for this with a 6-core, 12-thread processor, 16 gigs of RAM, an 850-watt power supply, a complete chassis. People think these Alienwares are awesome, and as long as I put a pretty decent graphics card in it, someone will buy it probably for near what I'm thinking of asking for, around $800. But this being absent from it, there's no way I'm gonna find an equivalent graphics card to this for less than $200, maybe $250 Canadian if I'm lucky, and that will severely put a dent in, you know, the whole story behind this. Plus, I wanted to do the retrospective and do like 6 games, 8 game benchmark, show you some 3D Mark scores. I actually did run through Firestrike and Time Spy. I'll put them up on the screen, running the card at 80% fan speed, like 4,000 RPM or something like that, and it does complete stress tests even at that RPM. But no one's gonna buy the computer where I say the only way it works is if you put the fan on the graphics card to you know, jet engine levels of sound. There's no way anyone's ever gonna do that. So like, this computer probably cost $3,000 back in the day with a 6-core processor in it and a flagship GPU. I'm sure that's what it cost. And imagine if you would have bought, you know, a similar higher end computer from then, you know, that wasn't an Alienware. Just so much. I'm sure I could fit a proper graphics card solution in that thing. I don't know. So I'm gonna watch Timmy Joe Instagram, Twitter. I've been ranting on Alienwares for too long. Never buy them ever again. Also, R9 290s. What a sad graphics card. Every one of them I've ever touched has died. The end.